Every man thinks he understands lust. You think it's about desire, about wanting something you can't have. You think it's about biology, hormones, or simple human nature. You're wrong. What you call lust is actually fear. And once you understand this, everything changes. I'm going to share something with you that Marcus Aurelius knew, that Seneca understood, but that modern society has completely forgotten. A truth so profound, it will rewire how you see every moment of desire, every flash of wanting, every pull toward instant gratification. This isn't about suppressing your nature or becoming some emotionless robot. This is about understanding the machine of your mind so completely that you become its master instead of its slave. By the end of this, you'll see lust for what it really is, and you'll never be controlled by it again. Here's what nobody tells you about lust. It's not really about the object of your desire. Think about this for a moment. You see something or someone and instantly feel that pull, that magnetic attraction, that voice in your head saying, "I need that." But here's the thing. What you're actually feeling isn't attraction to what's in front of you. You're feeling fear of what's behind you. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "How much trouble he avoids who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does." He wasn't talking about being antisocial. He was pointing to something deeper. He understood that our desires are mirrors reflecting our internal emptiness. When you feel lust, whether it's for a person, for status, for material things, for instant pleasure, you're not moving toward something. You're running from something. You're running from the discomfort of being alone with yourself, from the fear that you're not enough as you are, from the terrifying possibility that this moment, right now, without anything added to it, might not be sufficient. This is why lust always promises more than it delivers, because it's not actually about getting something, it's about avoiding something. Your brain was designed by evolution to keep you alive in a world that no longer exists. For hundreds of thousands of years, scarcity was the default. Food was scarce, safety was scarce, mating opportunities were scarce. So your brain developed sophisticated systems to make you pursue these things obsessively. When you saw an opportunity for pleasure, for food, for reproduction, for status, your brain flooded you with chemicals that made you feel like you had to have it, because in that ancient world, hesitation meant death. But here's what evolution didn't prepare you for: abundance. Your ancient brain sees a world of infinite options and goes into overdrive. It interprets abundance as an emergency. Quick, it screams, grab everything you can before it disappears. This is why you can't just look at one video, you have to scroll through hundreds. Why one episode becomes an entire season consumed in a night. Why one glance becomes an obsession. Your lust isn't really lust. It's your survival system malfunctioning in a world it doesn't understand. The Stoics figured this out 2,000 years ago without knowing anything about neuroscience. They understood that the feeling of "I must have this" was actually the feeling of "I'm afraid I'm not safe without this." Seneca put it perfectly. It is not the man who has little, but the man who craves more, who is poor. Let me tell you something that might make you uncomfortable. Every time you feel that spike of lust for anything, pause and ask yourself, what am I afraid of right now? I guarantee you'll find something. Maybe you're afraid of being alone with your thoughts. Maybe you're afraid that life is passing you by. Maybe you're afraid that you're not the man you thought you'd become by now. Maybe you're afraid that the future holds more of the same emptiness you're feeling right now. Lust is a magician's trick. It makes you focus on the thing in front of you so intensely that you can't see what's happening behind the curtain. And what's happening behind the curtain is always the same thing. You're trying to escape from yourself. Here's a story that illustrates this perfectly. A student once came to a Zen master and said, "Master, I am tormented by lustful thoughts. How do I get rid of them?" The master replied, "Don't try to get rid of them. Instead, ask them what they're really asking for." The student was confused. "What do you mean?" "Your lustful thoughts aren't asking for what they appear to be asking for," the master explained. "They're asking to be seen. They're asking to be understood. They're asking you to recognize what you're actually hungry for." This is the key insight. Lust is always asking for something other than what it appears to want. When you feel sexual lust, you're actually hungry for connection, for being seen, for feeling alive. When you feel lust for material things, you're actually hungry for security, for significance, for the feeling that you matter. When you feel lust for achievements or status, you're actually hungry for self-respect, for the sense that your life has meaning. But here's the tragedy. The thing lust promises to give you is always the one thing it can never actually deliver. The Stoics had a revolutionary approach to dealing with lust. They didn't try to suppress it or fight it. They studied it. They got curious about it. They treated it like a scientist studying a fascinating specimen. Marcus Aurelius developed what I call the curiosity practice. Whenever he felt a strong desire for something, he would pause and examine it with the same detachment he might examine a rock or a tree. He would ask, "What is this feeling? Really? Where did it come from? What is it trying to tell me?" Try this right now. Think of something you've been lusting after lately. Maybe it's a person. Maybe it's an object. Maybe it's an experience. Now, instead of either indulging the desire or fighting it, just study it. Feel where it sits in your body. Notice the thoughts it generates. Observe the story it tells you about why you need this thing. Watch how it tries to convince you that getting this thing will solve all your problems. Now ask yourself, if I got this thing, what would I be hoping to feel? And is there a way I could feel that right now without getting the thing? This is the Stoic hack. You realize that what you're actually looking for was available to you all along. Epictetus taught his students, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. He wasn't advocating for poverty. He was pointing out that the feeling you're chasing, the feeling of having enough, of being satisfied, of being complete, that feeling is available to you right now, regardless of what you have or don't have. Here's something that will change your life. Every moment of lust is actually a moment of absence. Think about it. When you're consumed by desire for something, where is your attention? It's in the future, imagining what it would be like to have that thing. Or it's in the past, remembering what it felt like to have something similar. But it's never right here, right now. The Stoics understood that presence is the antidote to lust, not because presence makes desire go away, but because presence reveals what's already here. When you're fully present, you realize something profound. This moment, exactly as it is, contains everything you've been looking for. The peace you thought you'd find in that future scenario, it's available right now. The aliveness you thought you'd feel with that person, it's pulsing through you right now. The sense of completion you thought you'd get from that achievement, it's here, waiting to be noticed. This isn't some mystical nonsense. It's practical psychology. Your brain's default mode is to scan for what's missing, what's wrong, what needs to be fixed or acquired. But you can train it to scan for what's present, what's working, what's already complete. Marcus Aurelius practiced this every morning. He would sit quietly and take inventory of everything that was already available to him in that moment. His breath, his heartbeat, his capacity to think and choose, the fact that he was alive in an incredibly unlikely universe. He called this morning gratitude, but it was actually a form of presence training. He was training his mind to see abundance instead of scarcity, completion instead of lack. Now let's talk about what it means to respond to lust as a man. Society will tell you that being a man means either suppressing your desires completely or giving in to them without question. Both approaches miss the point entirely. The masculine response to lust is neither suppression nor indulgence. It's mastery. Mastery means understanding the mechanism so completely that you're no longer controlled by it. It means being able to feel desire without being driven by it. It means having the strength to choose your response instead of being hijacked by your impulses. This is what the Stoics called the discipline of desire. It's not about having no desires, it's about having your desires serve you instead of you serving them. When you feel lust arise, instead of either fighting it or following it, you pause, you breathe, you recognize it for what it is, information. Your brain is telling you something about what it thinks you need. You listen to that information with respect, but you don't let it make your decisions for you. This is true strength. Not the ability to lift heavy weights or dominate others, but the ability to remain centered and clear-headed when your biology is screaming at you to react. A weak man is controlled by his desires. A strong man controls his response to his desires. Here's the ultimate paradox that the Stoics discovered. The less you need something, the more likely you are to get it. When you're desperate for something, you radiate desperation. People can feel it. Opportunities avoid it. The universe seems to conspire against it. But when you're complete within yourself, when you genuinely don't need external things to feel whole, something magical happens. You become magnetic. You attract what you previously chased. You find what you previously sought. This isn't some law of attraction nonsense. It's simple psychology. When you're not needy, you make better decisions. You see opportunities more clearly. You respond from strength instead of weakness. You become the kind of person that good things naturally flow toward. Seneca lived this principle. He was one of the wealthiest men in Rome, but he held his wealth lightly. He enjoyed it when he had it, but he was prepared to lose it at any moment. And because he held it lightly, he was able to keep it and grow it. The same principle applies to relationships, to career success, to any form of external validation. The moment you stop needing it desperately is the moment you become capable of having it authentically. Let me give you 3 practical exercises that will transform your relationship with lust. Exercise 1. The 5-minute rule. The next time you feel a strong desire for something, commit to waiting 5 minutes before acting on it. During those 5 minutes, simply observe the desire. Notice how it changes. Notice how your mind tries to justify why you need to act right now. Notice how the intensity naturally rises and falls like a wave. Most desires, when simply observed without judgment, will transform or dissolve on their own. The ones that remain after patient observation are usually worth listening to. Exercise 2. The deeper question whenever you catch yourself wanting something, ask, what would I be hoping to feel if I got this thing? Then ask, is there a way I could feel that right now without getting the thing? Usually, the answer is yes. You want the object because you think it will make you feel confident, loved, secure, or alive. But all of these feelings are available to you right now, regardless of your external circumstances. Exercise 3. The gratitude inventory every morning. Before you check your phone or engage with the world, spend 5 minutes taking inventory of what you already have. Not just material things, but capacities, your ability to think, your ability to choose, your ability to love, your ability to learn and grow. This isn't about being grateful for your problems or pretending everything is perfect. It's about training your brain to see abundance instead of scarcity as its default setting. What does life look like when you've mastered lust instead of being mastered by it? First, you become unshakable. External circumstances still affect you, but they don't control you. You can feel desire without being driven by it. You can appreciate beauty without being enslaved by it. You can want things without needing them. Second, you become magnetic. People are drawn to those who are complete within themselves. When you're not desperately seeking validation or pleasure from others, you become the kind of person others want to be around. Third, you become free. Real freedom isn't the ability to do whatever you want whenever you want it. That's just another form of slavery to your impulses. Real freedom is the ability to choose your response to whatever life presents you with. This is what Marcus Aurelius meant when he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. When you understand that lust is just fear wearing a mask, when you realize that what you're seeking is already available to you, when you train yourself to respond from presence instead of reacting from absence, you become unstoppable. Not because you can get whatever you want, but because you no longer need to get anything to feel complete. Here's what I want you to understand. This isn't about becoming some emotionless robot who never feels desire. Desire is part of being human. Lust, in its raw form, is life energy. It's the same energy that drives creativity, passion, love, and growth. The goal isn't to eliminate this energy. The goal is to channel it consciously, instead of being channeled by it unconsciously. When you master lust, you don't lose your passion for life. You gain the ability to direct that passion toward what actually matters. Instead of being scattered across 1,000 momentary desires, your energy becomes focused like a laser beam on what you truly value. This is the difference between a boy and a man. A boy is driven by his impulses. A man drives his impulses toward his purposes. The Stoics understood something that modern culture has forgotten. Self-mastery is not self-denial, it's self-direction. It's not about saying no to everything. It's about being able to say yes to what matters and no to what doesn't. When you can feel desire without being controlled by it, when you can appreciate without needing to possess, when you can want without being driven by want, you become dangerous in the best possible way. Dangerous to mediocrity. Dangerous to those who would manipulate you through your desires. Dangerous to the version of yourself that settles for less than you're capable of. Every great man in history has had to face this challenge. The challenge of mastering himself before attempting to master anything else. The The Stoics understood that external control is impossible without internal control. You cannot direct your life if you cannot direct your attention. You cannot build something meaningful if you're constantly being pulled in different directions by every momentary desire. Lust, whether for pleasure, for status, for validation, or for anything else, is just misdirected life energy. When you understand this, when you really get it at a cellular level, everything changes. You stop being a leaf blown around by every wind of desire. You become a tree, rooted in your own center, able to bend without breaking, able to weather any storm. The next time you feel that familiar pull, that voice saying, "I need this," remember what it really is. It's not lust, it's fear. It's your ancient brain trying to protect you from dangers that no longer exist. Thank it for its concern, and then choose your response from a place of wisdom instead of reaction. This is your invitation to mastery, not mastery over others, but mastery over yourself. Not the ability to get whatever you want, but the ability to want consciously instead of unconsciously. The man who masters his lust masters his life. Everything else flows from this one fundamental skill.